The relation between philosophy and education. Philosophy and aims of education. Aims of education are determined by aim of life or philosophy of life. Philosophy formulates the ends of life, and education offers suggestion how these ends are to be achieved. Aims of education change with the changing philosophy of life. Philosophy and curriculum. Philosophy determines the aims of education, and curriculum determines how these aims can be attained. Curriculum is the means to attain aims of education. Curriculum is to be determined by the educational objectives, which are again determined by philosophy. Philosophy and textbooks. The textbooks constitute the part of curriculum. Adoption of appropriate textbooks are, therefore, closely connected with philosophy. Philosophy is reflected in the content material of textbooks. Philosophy and teacher. The teacher is the soul of the educative process, and teacher instill belief, knowledge, and influence personality of student. To be a successful teacher, he should know philosophy of education. Philosophy and methods of teaching. Method of teaching is procedure or art used by teacher in the communication of knowledge to the students and realize aims of education. Aims of education are subject to the philosophy of life. Therefore, the close relationship between philosophy and methodology of teaching. Every philosopher formulates his own methods of teaching according to his own philosophy. Philosophy and discipline. The nature or type of discipline is always determined by the philosophy. Naturalism emphasizes self-assertion of the individual as against blind obedience to authority. Idealism relies much on the personality of the teacher for the maintenance of discipline.
Hi there everyone, I am Angel Sarah Neta and we're going to be talking about the relationship between philosophy and education, the aims of education, the curriculum, the textbooks, the role of the teachers, the method of teaching, and the discipline. In this presentation, I am using a PowerPoint presentation with audio. I hope it is clear and you will get something from it.
Philosophical foundation of education. Within the epistemological frame that focuses on the nature of knowledge and how we come to know, there are four major educational philosophies, each related to one or more of the general or world philosophies: perennialism, essentialism, progressivism, and reconstructionism. These educational philosophical approaches are currently used in the classrooms. The aim of perennialism in education is to develop power of thought, internalize truths that are universal and constant, and to ensure that students acquire understanding about the great ideas of Western civilization. This is the most conservative, traditional, and inflexible philosophy. Perennialism stimulates students in how to think critically and thoughtfully, cultivating the rational mind. Perennialists believe that educational values are almost stable and they are universal truths, and therefore it is not necessary to change a curriculum with such values. They believe that truths are not place and time dependent. The goal of education is to teach the truth that is same everywhere, every time, and for everyone. So the curriculum is the same for every student. The teachers use history, religion, literature, and the laws of science to reinforce universal ideas that have the potential to solve any problem in any era. This is a teacher-centered philosophy, in which the teacher is less concerned with student interests and more concerned with transferring knowledge from older generations to younger generations. The teacher will focus on the importance of reading and will often use the underlying reading lessons to make a moral point. Perennialism is focused on the curriculum and nature need. They stress learning through reading and analyzing the works by history's finest thinkers and writers. Perennialists believe that reading is to be supplemented with neutral investigations with teacher and minimally directed discussions through the Socratic method in order to develop historically oriented understanding of concepts, less emphasis on vocational and technical education, and more on the humanities. Education requires mental discipline. Study is hard work. Concentration and effort is required. Students must therefore be enculturated in the process. Students should be taught hard work, respect for authority, and discipline. Teachers are to help students keep their non-productive instincts in check, such as aggression or mindlessness. This philosophy of education is focused almost solely on practicality, where preparing students to become valuable members of society. Essentialism's focus is to teach its students to read, write, speak, and compute, and these are the core requirements needed to function in society. The basics, which is what an essentialism education is often referred to as a basic education. The curriculum often focuses around people, ideas, and institutions that have shaped the society. The ultimate goal of essentialism is that when students leave, they leave not only prepared with basic skills and knowledge, but ultimately skilled and disciplined minds, ready to apply themselves in the real world and become upstanding members of society. The teachers are often the focus, usually acting as educator and as role model to the students. Teachers instill an attitude of hard work, respect, and discipline. Teachers are often tasked with keeping the proverbial idle mind constantly in check, so that it doesn't become complacent and revert to aggression. Progressivism aims to promote democratic and social living, where education should focus on the whole child, their personal experiences, the interests, and their needs, rather than on the content or the teacher. The curriculum content is derived from student interests and questions. As one of the main proponents of progressivism, John Dewey said, students should be involved with real problems so they gain ownership to the problems and how they solve it. They should ask meaningful questions that make them creative and critical thinkers. Since the curriculum focuses on the freedom of students' interests as a center point of teaching, the teacher's role is just a facilitator, where she facilitates and guides the learning of the students. The scientific method is used by progressivist educators so that students can study matter and events systematically and firsthand. As what John Dewey said, students should be engaged in problem solving using scientific method, and they should be able to develop their own theories. Reconstructionism in education aims for equality of educational opportunities in education and access to global education. So this philosophy emphasizes the addressing of social questions and a quest to create a better society and worldwide democracy. The curriculum focuses on the present and future trends and issues of national and international interests. This looks at the present society with critical eyes and points the ill aspects of society in terms of wars, crimes, economic downturns, and many social, economic, and political issues.
Since curriculum focuses on student experience and taking social actions on real problems, there are a number of strategies for dealing with controversial issues, particularly in social studies and literature. Inquiry, dialogue, and multiple perspectives are the focus. So community-based learning and bringing the world into the classroom are also strategies.
Existentialism. This aims to help students understand and appreciate themselves as unique individuals who accept complete responsibility for their thoughts, feelings, and actions. To educate the whole person, not just the mind, since feeling is not divorced from reason in decision making, to help the learner become fully his authentic self. The curriculum in this philosophy, learning is self-paced and self-directed. Students are given a wide variety of options from which to choose. Students are afforded great latitude in their choice of subject matter. The humanities are given emphasis to provide students with various experiences that will help unleash their own creativity and self-expression. Composed of fine arts, drama, creative expression, literature, and philosophy. Vocational education is seen more as a means of teaching students about themselves and their potential than that of earning a livelihood. Methods of teaching. Focus is on the individual. In teaching history, existentialists focus on the action of historical individuals who provide possible models for the student's own behavior rather than emphasizing historical events. In arts, existentialism encourages individuals' creativity and imagination more than copying and imitating established models. Creativity is an expression of oneself. In teaching values, teachers employ values, a clarification strategy to help students know themselves and their place in society. Here, teachers remain non-judgmental and take care not to impose their values on their students since values are personal. Through values clarification strategy, the learners will be able to practice sound moral reasoning skills, choose the appropriate response for a value conflict, and commit themselves to personal, moral, and societal values. Values education is a matter of choice that goes throughout existence. There should be private and open spaces in the classroom to facilitate dialogues, small group discussion, and individualization, to lessen the tension, formality, and constraint experienced by the learners. Criticism to any individual work is less important. The role of teachers is to help students define their own essence by exposing them to various paths they take in life, to create an environment in which they freely choose their own preferred way, to relate with each student openly and honestly. The role of teachers is to be a questioner, poser of alternatives, identifier of choices who challenges the learners to become fully existent.